Welcome back to another episode of This Old Mouse House, where we evict rodents, we evict some cucarachas, and we're doing an interior change, color change, that is. So let me get you in here and take a peek. So let's get started. All right, as you can see, you may have seen the sneak peek video. I've done a burgundy color change over here, and I'm prepping the other side of the dashboard over there for some paint. And let's walk around. I might edit this part out. So that's where I have degreased it, because I'm sure that there was 82,406 coats of Armor All on here, and it just kept, the shine just kept coming. And if you wonder why it looks black there, that's not primer or anything, although I thought I would do that. You don't have to, because these dashboards originally, this is painted on here. So when I used some acetone to get rid of it on the other side the last time, I realized that it was coming off, so I just figured I would buzz the lines off of here and get it so where I could mask it. Now, I'm sure there's other people who happily to use, painter's tape or whatever. That is just basically green colored 3M electrical tape. I don't know, the colors were on sale. They were a lot cheaper than just the regular stuff. So it's just 3M tape. I like it because it gives me a crisp, clean line, even cleaner than painter's tape. I don't have to do anything to it. I just lay it down, and then I'll mask it with regular masking tape afterwards. I'm gonna give this a quick shot of rust converter, just because, why not? And then we'll fog this red. The dashboard should be done. I'll then be able to put the steering column in and see if what does and doesn't work. There were an incredible amount of skinned wires that I had to, I can't even believe this car ran, honestly. I had to basically, the block there that goes to the steering column, I basically had to, just defer it. I mean, there's still a rat's nest in there from where there was some sort of hacked in radio. I can't even imagine what the heck happened there. But I feel comfortable that I may not have to take the dashboard out. I think I found all the skinned wires, to be honest. So we're going to get this painted and then get steering column back in and test for things that don't work. And hopefully I don't have to take things back in and out of here, because I don't want to nick up this paint. I'm sure it's going to be easy, no matter what you use. And these are professional paint. I'm using a professional auto body interior color, and I'll show you that here in a second. So once this is red, then we can get on to the business of putting the wires back in place, steering column back in place, and then I should be able to fire it up and see if it runs. So that's where, and then we do have some rust to mitigate, so there will be some rust work coming up. So right now, I'll get this painted, and I'll bring you back in after the first coat is done, or the last coat's done, whatever, and let you see what it looks like. On this episode of Hidden City Ironworks, we're going to get this Mustang running. Can we do it? Let's have a look. No. We can never have anything running in this shop because everything's dead. So let's give it a juice. Ugh. On 12.8. Negative there. Red one goes to the red side. Ooh, it made a sparkly sound. And then we'll try it again. On this episode of Blah Blah Blah, let me get this Mustang running. I think we can. And it shuts off with the key. So mission accomplished, I guess. We're done. No, there's not a lot. So I'm gonna pull and then kill the battery. That was fun. That's something that, well, it started with the key. Before, as you've been following along, there's been quite a bit that prevented this car from actually running and idling like it should. If you remember, in the last episode we did the wire on some sort of throttle intake doohickey, and that fixed that. But the key and the key solenoid, yeah, cylinder, not solenoid. The key cylinder was jacked up beyond recognition. And I'm going to just give you an idea what it looked like, because you may be dealing with the same situation. And what I have here on what is fast becoming a mess is the original steering column assembly, full thing, key, cylinder, and it's broken. If you see what I'm turning, this is a busted cylinder. I thought it was just this piece, and this piece isn't what was really broken. There's a little rod that's moving around back and forth in there, if you can see that. If you can see that, like it would turn the key, start, and then it would, but it wouldn't pull that assembly back. And what ends up happening is I think it gets jammed, or it got jammed, and it's in, somebody tried to reef on it to get it to shut off, and it was maybe not in park, so the parking lockout mechanism was probably keeping it from being, and they reefed on it. And I think that this is just some sort of pot metal in there, and it busted, and I couldn't shut the car back off. It just was that was it. It was on Mustang, and then no more Mustang, won't go off. So I had to find one of these in good condition on eBay, and they delivered actually. So eBay is good for stuff when people ship it to you. It's not a bad place, but I'm very leery to sell anything, because I've heard some serious scams where people will buy something from you and then they'll return it in a box, or they'll complain about it and never send it back and get a refund, and then you're just out the part and all the time that you put into trying to sell it. So not a big fan for that can happen. So this is what kept the car from running. And as you've seen in some of the pictures, maybe on the Instagram site, and maybe a quick sneak peek or two, I went ahead and decided to paint the bezel red, because I just like the way it looks. It kind of balances out the dashboard, and I really, in light of, you know, kind of the German flair of cars, they always, in the 90s when I fell in love with BMWs and Hondas and stuff, they always had these different color interiors, but the steering wheel and the steering column was always black, and I thought that was just fine. So I wasn't going to go crazy trying to paint the steering wheel or match the leather or anything like that. I think I just left that alone. And we've got a radio that was, we're going to go do the double din there. And once I get ready to install that, I'll walk you through that process. But where I am now is I have all the interior parts and the seat covers and everything to do in here, to go in here. But as you can see, the state of this car is I'm going to put all this clean interior in here, and then I'm going to start working on body work and stuff, and I'm just not going to do that. So welcome. So here we are. This is what I was talking about. I said it was spaghetti. I showed you guys on some of the other episodes, and it was just a nightmare. I mean, there's not the products and stuff, not even these. But really, whatever was going on in here is like, these were all tied together. No joke. They were like these two right here. Like, that's just, I have no idea who would ever do that. That was front and rear speakers tied together. I don't even know where to begin with that. So what we're going to accomplish today is like buzzing out all the speakers, figuring out the colors, because if you go online now and you look up wire schematics, you know, in the past, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, you would get on your search some things you could reference. Now it's all like scam sites, and you click on it and then your computer turns all purple. So we're not going to do that, but we are going to figure it out by buzzing them out. And then we're going to put this stuff in there, make this work. It's got a backup camera. You know, I thought, oh, backup cameras are so dumb when they first came out. I've got a rear view mirror, and I'm better than that. And then all of a sudden you start using them, and you back up trailers, and you park cars, and you have kids, and you have stuff. And then all of a sudden, hey, I kind of like that backup camera. So now I don't make fun of them anymore. But the biggest problem that I'm having right now is that we switched this over to a double din from the original, you know, single din, whatever it was called, single din, I guess. And my issue right now is that when you put this in there, yeah, just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like throwing a hot dog down a hallway, if you know what I'm saying. It just sort of, it has nothing, there's nothing in there. And I've got to make that happen. I've got to find out, I've got to figure out how to get it located, how it can sit in there, and then that's second though. Got to figure out the wires first. So what I'll probably do is I'll start doing the exciting job of buzzing out these wires. I'll spare you the details. You know, might have to watch that. That's going to be thrilling. But what I use is I use a fluke meter. I've had this forever. Put it on, you know, the beepy sound, and then you just sort of, it's hard to do. You sort of have like on one end, and then when I touch it to the other wire, it'll beep, and I'll know that, hey, that wire is going to be for that door. And then there's this, because the Mach 460 sound system, while it was probably really good in its day, and I'm not going to say it wasn't, there's extra plugs at every corner. And I don't know if that's amperage, if that, I don't know what the heck these were, but they all, I can buzz them out, and all four corners all buzz to each other. So there's something's going on there with the Mach 460 sound system, and we're not interested in blowing our eardrums out at this point. This is my wife's car, and she probably won't even have it on. Is just have something that, you know, backup camera, Bluetooth, you know, when you're driving, and, you know, maybe some sound. And that's what the goal is for this stereo. So we're not going to utilize the Mach 460 sound system. We're trying to make it integrate with that radio, because I honestly, that's, I just have no interest in that working. So with that, I'm going to put the camera down, maybe not, buzz this stuff all out, figure out where the wires are, and then I'm going to use these plugs here. These are like the European plugs, and I'm basically going to make a connector so that if you have to take the radio out for some reason, should it fail, which these days, or if it's stolen, maybe they won't hack your wiring, because it's a convertible and it's highly likely they'll steal it. And there's 12 pins, and there's 8 pins for speakers, and then 2 powers, 1 constant and 1 keyed, and then a ground. Ta-da! That takes you to 11, and there's 12 here, and they'll give me another one for maybe a backup or something, I don't know, whatever. And we're going to pin these out using these pins. I really like those a lot. I have these, and these are okay, but I like those, the way those crimp better. They just seem to be. So and plus I can get 12 on here, and I don't have to do a bunch of these. These guys are good for like when you're doing other stuff. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pin this out and put this in, and that should get us an easy way to get the radio in and out should it need service for some reason. So on that note, I'm going to get started, get some progress made, and I'll bring you guys in for an update. Okay, now that I got this door panel off, I'm looking at trying to discover what's behind here as far as the wires for this side. I've got the driver's side figured out, front and rear. The rear speaker wires are exposed, so because the back seat's out, and they appear to be okay. Now, no, that one's, see, that's pretty chewed. That's mouse damage right there. They're gnawing on that one, so we're gonna have to. I'm just gonna, like I did before on the other video. If it looks like the wires are split and stuff, I just might heat it up and run some solder on it, and then just tape it. And then you think, well, why do you got to pull the door panel off to get this pair? And that's, if it's not obvious to most of you guys who do all this stuff, it's because I want to figure out which speaker the ground wire is assigned to on this particular, because they've been in here and they've been doing some, chop suey slicing, to the wires. I want to figure out which wire they selected out of the harness for the ground, so that they're not out of phase. If you've ever done stereos, you kind of, if it sounds funny, doesn't sound quite right, or bass doesn't sound really appropriate, you could have your speakers, one of them out of phase, and it's not that noticeable, but it can be if you're a real audiophile. So I'm going to take this out, and the one thing that I approve in this application is the extensive use of drywall screws. They're not bad, they just rust. When you're doing stereos, they got a bevel on them, and it's like you can make fun of them all you want. I can't lie that I've not used them. But there's been some drywall screws holding all sorts of stuff together on this car. So to say that I approve of all usage of drywall screws in this car would be a little bit of a misnomer. But for today's lesson, I'm not a fan. Not entirely. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this speaker out. Just wanted to give you a quick little peek at where I'm at as we go through today. These are, there's the connector, there's the pins, there's the two speakers. I like to keep my grounds on one side and my lives on the other. It just makes it easier. I like to go left front, left rear, right rear, and then assign the power and then the ground by itself on the end. Just because, just to be consistent whenever I go back and look at this maybe 5 years later. If I do it all the same way every time, then it generally makes it easier for me to remember what it was that I did. So that's why, if you're wondering why I do that. So okay, so I'm going to continue marching on by figuring these wires out. Once I have the basic stereo wires figured out, then I'll wire the adapter harness that comes with the radio. That's not it. That's the skosh connector, and the stereo comes with this little pigtail, and it seems suspiciously short in some areas, but in some of them I don't know what they are. Like, I don't know where the constant is. That might be the constant. I don't know where the regular power is for this particular radio. Usually when it's a Pioneer, they're usually red. I usually install Kenwoods most of the time, but this one was a pretty good deal. So, well, we'll figure it out. And once that's connected, the other connector will sit on this side, and I'll plug it in. And then if I stick with Pioneer, generally speaking, their harnesses are the same. So then I can always, if this radio fails, I can replace it with another one, and usually I won't have to rewire this. So that's why I put connectors between here and what's ever already been butchered. But if you're saying, hey, that's kind of a loose connection, those I can agree to an extent, but you're talking about low voltage. And I've never had one of those European connectors ever come apart, so it's not worth soldering these in case this changes. Then I just have to make this over and match it to what's in the car. So with that, I will get back to you guys in just a bit. And the shop foreman has made it into the shop, and she's doing some paperwork. So our heat is on for at least another month. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So you paid the heat bill? Mm-hmm. What else did you pay today? The electric bill? Yes. All right. Did you take out the trash? Of course, I always do that. All right. Well, thanks for the update, and we'll keep marching on. I understand. I know we got a lot of work orders coming in. All right, let me get you back in here for a little bit of an update. This is the wiring harness from the car, and the original plug was cut. So I went through and buzzed them all out, and as you can see, this connector is now loaded with constant power, keyed power, ground, and then the speakers are all grounds on the bottom, starting with that one as the right rear ground for the speaker ground, passenger door ground, passenger rear ground, or driver rear ground, driver door ground, and then across the top. And then that will plug in, and I'll be able to service that radio in the future. There's some other things here that I'm not exactly sure. They were terminated. I imagine there's probably dimmers and stuff. This was butchered as to be expected, so I have to figure out how to fix that next on the agenda. But now we can, at the very least, come over to the radio, and we're one step closer to throwing this hot dog down the hallway. Well, at least very much plug it in and see if it works, and then all the speakers, we'll check them all out. So next is, obviously couldn't use this. It's a shame because this is a Ford adapter, and it was a Scotia part number 1989 to 2011 Ford plug adapter kit, but this car was, you know, like it went through a sushi slicer and it was just all chopped up and everything. So now I'm going to put the other end of that connector on here. Then I should be able to plug that guy in, at the very least, see if it works. If it doesn't, then the the Chinese rainforest site will get a return request, because I bought that on the Chinese rainforest site where it's loaded with Chinesium. So all right, so next we'll, and I always, by the way, I always do this. I always make sure that things work. The reason why I say that is because I didn't notice, but it says reconditioned product. Yippee! Yay. I didn't notice that when I bought it, so I'm a little hesitant on this guy. And then for the car, for once I start getting into figuring out where it's going to sit inside the actual dashboard, I went ahead per the Sn95 forums and some advice that this is the kit 95-5026 for Ford Lincoln Mercury multi-kit. Basically, those are the years that they're for. This car's a 95. Clearly, I'm upgrading to this setup, and this is an extra one that I have so I can get it in and out without wearing out my good one. We'll get it lined up, we'll get it mounted, and then we'll snap that into place, and it should just, you know, all nice and good into place. And that's how that will look. I'm not looking for perfection. I just don't want it to look like a gaping hole where, you know, it's been involved in a Walmart parking lot radio theft crime scene. So, and this stuff is, you know, it's not, it looks expensive. It's really nice if you think that, but it's just basically a $130 radio off of you know, the China rainforest, as I like to call it, because it's loaded with Chinesium. Yep. All right, so on to that. I'll get this squared away, get this pinned out. I got to figure it out because I got to be able to squint and read the instructions on where these wires go, because they're not all labeled. Usually you can figure it out. Like most of the stereos in the last, I'd say 30 years, there's like the purple are always in the, you know, wherever, in the green and the gray and then the white. That's, see, that constant power, I would have thought that was constant power. That yellow wire is mute, but there's another one here. This is probably constant power, I'm hoping. I don't see, in the ground, I don't see another power on that, so that's exciting that it doesn't have one. Well, we'll figure it out. All right, so I'll bring you back in here when this is ready to go. The pinning, I may give you a little demo on the pinning because it's kind of neat. I like it. I'll show you how I pin that, and then we'll plug this together in the car and see how it works, and then we'll connect this to the radio, and hopefully the magic smoke doesn't come out of this radio. So I'll bring you guys back in just a minute. Okay, got you guys set up. I'm going to give you a little bit of a demo, I guess, on these pins. You got to buy one of these, and I got this again on the China Rainforest site. And if you look inside there, it has like a 3-point crimper, and then these connections are waterproof, and I also got these from the China Rainforest site. And these are the male end that we're going to put on this harness. So I'm going to walk you through how I'm doing it, and then we'll pin out the connector. And I've already, since I know my sequence pretty well, I'm just gonna start pushing them in here, because I know that all my grounds are on one side and all my positives on the other. So what I like to do is, when the wires are really small, and these pins they're good, but if they can fit like that, then I'll fold it over, because I just like an extra strong connection. I'd rather solder stuff, but again, you get it in there, you get it loaded. I usually like to load it just below flush. Get the wire in there, crimp it. It's on there, super tight. That's one down and like 12 more to go. So I like to give them a twist, just because, I guess. You don't have to do whatever you want, really. But I like to make a loop. Slide the connector on. Yeah, fight with it. Then get it lined up in here. It's really hard to see when there's a camera in front of your face. Give it a hiya. Give it a hiawatha. Check it. Good. Keep going through it. Do another one. Loop. You don't have to loop it. These speaker wires are so tiny. I just like the firmness of which it'll actually hold the connector on the wire, so that I can. That's kind of really the advantage. And then you get it into this crimper again, like that, right about flush. Boom, pinched. She ain't going nowhere. So I'm going to go through and do the rest of these, and when I'm done, I'm going to then push them into the back of this connector, and they'll stick out on this side. Then you pop in the locking tab. That just keeps them from coming out and loose. You could even just omit this, but I always put all the pieces back together. Then you have the connector built, and then I can go plug it in the car, and then I can plug this in the back side and see if we have sound. I have to fix the antenna, because whoever had this car before butchered it, and that's always a lot of fun. So I have to repair the actual antenna connector before I could even get music. So we brought thumb drive with some musics on it, just so we could test it out, make sure that we're not frying the unit. And then on to the next thing, the next magnificent failure in this car. Everything has to be fixed. Everything. I can't even explain to you how bad everything was. The wiring on this car is just absolutely codged so bad. And it's been a fight. She's fighting me. So I'm going to do one more, just because I kept talking and now I'm in the middle of it. I'll do this one, then I'll finish the rest, and then I'll be back with you guys after I'm done with this, and the connector's ready to go in the car. So we'll put it in there, get it about flush with the end of the crimper, hold it in, hiya, squeeze it, give her a tug. That's it. All right, so I'm going to get the rest of this done, and then I'll be back with you when we get ready to start tossing the radio into the car. Okay, now that I've got them all pinned out, I went ahead and just pinned the dimmer, just in case. You just never know. I'm going to go ahead and start pushing them in the back, and they come through, and they are inside that little socket right there. So, as I said before, I like to go driver's side front, driver's side rear, passenger side front, passenger side rear, radio ground, we'll put the dimmer there. Then it's speaker, positive, same thing, driver, front, rear, passenger, front, passenger, rear, keyed, and constant on. I like it on the end just for some reason. It's always nice. All right, so there we go. And this harness follows a lot of the, traditional ever since the 80s. It seems like they've all been these colors. Honda, even a Honda, like a Honda harness, they're the same color, which is really cool. When I used to do Hondas. All right, so then the left front is white. The rear, the front left rear is going to be, I think they're green. Let me check. I'm looking. Yeah, green. Green is the rear. So we'll pull out the green black wire, shove it in there, listen for the positive click. There it is. Look inside. She's in there. Now we're going to pin the rear, driver's side rear, positive speaker. There we go. Then the rear front is going to be gray and gray black. And your application may vary. That's fine. But rarely is the black stripe not a ground on any harness. So, except the factory harnesses, they're all the colors all over the place. And like this Ford, the colors are just everywhere. Which, who knows what the hell they were thinking. But get it in there, and that's a rubber boot that seals it from water. These are really watertight. That's why I bought them. They bought them for Mater. And this is what I have left. And I just happen to like them, and I'll be ordering some more. They're I think they're called JR Ready DT04-12P. 12P stands for 12 pin. If you're looking to get them on the China rainforest site. Okay, and the only thing I got left is the purple. But I always like the look, even though I know it's purple. Violet black is what they say. Violet black would be ground. So we're going to continue on, making sure I can rotate that wire. There's the black stripe. Goes right there. Positive click. One of them's not in. Positive click. Positive click. Give them all a tug. You always give them a tug because I've put these together thinking that they were connected and they were not. And it decided to fall out. So I had said that on the positive at the top that I have keyed, and because this stupid plug came from the China rainforest site and it's refurbished, it was missing the red power wire, so I just harvested this one from another spot that I'm not going to use. So this is keyed, and ironically enough, it matches the Ford harness. The Ford harness is just so stupid. So that's keyed. This is constant. And there are some extra wires, and I haven't decided yet whether or not they will be connected. But this is all I have. This is the last connector. And then the ground. I put the grounds alongside the speaker grounds just because it's easier to keep them there. So there they are. They're all in. They look like that inside. And then I decided to pin the orange and white wire, which orange and white is the lighting switch terminal on the dashboard, and if I happen to figure it out inside the car, and all 12 in this particular connector are plugged in. You slide that in, and I've had a hard time with these. I don't think that's right. I can never get them in or out. So I think I'm going to take that back out because I've used a bunch of these and I've not been a big fan of that connector. And it feels like it blocks everything, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So next what we'll do is I'll move you guys into the car and we'll plug this in and see what we have. Let's check it out, shall we? All right, see you over at the car. Okay, I'm gonna put these speakers back in, and it's famously in this car held in by some, yep, you guessed it, drywall screws. Hey, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and quote another guy loosely and say, you know, it's only a dumb idea if it doesn't work. I'll say it a little differently, just in case, you know, trademark and all that and whatnots. But, I mean, right? She's only a dumb idea if she don't work. All right. Oh, that one's biting in there. It's got the bite on it. That's a good bite. There won't be any vibrations on this guy. All right, that's one speaker. Oh, that one's just a spinning around like she's got nothing else to do in life. Let's take that out and try if we can find another one. It's got a little more teeth to it. See, some of these drywalls are like, the screws are like super fine thread, and they're just, it's not grabbing. You know, I got standards. So this is what was in the, this was what was the accoutrement that was in the glove box, the center console, and I took it out. You know, you got your bent pennies, you got your fuses, you know, you got your knickknacks and your whatnots. So this is the speaker. It's a kind of a big speaker for a door, and that's what was in here. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm very surprised that Ford put, what are these, 5x8s? I don't know. That's in a door. That's you don't usually see that in a door. And then of course in the back, you know, you got your small ones. That makes a whole lot of sense. So then you got like, hey, props to Ford, front, then back, like, what the heck you thinking there? So that one's in, plugs in. You got to check a few things, put that one in, and then we'll get fired up here on the see if we'll turn the key and see if we can't let the magic smoke out of that radio. All right. Okay, let's see if we get some magic smoke. It's on. It's connected. And here goes. Now we're just going to set it in here. Keys on. Let's turn it on to like, hey, look at that. I guessed the right power. We got sound. Got static. Probably won't have any stations because I don't have the antenna connected, but let's put in a little, let's go USB, a little music. That's fun. I've got very little sound coming out of the front, but it's in the right place. And that could be the recording. Let's just do some static. Now we'll try the audio settings. Yeah, that speaker's not happy. That speaker's dead. That one works. I'm not sure why. Okay. Okay. I may have had to mute some of that because it's all trademark music. So I got some work to do on those speakers, but I think as you can see, it is definitely like a hot dog down a hallway in there, and it just is sort of in there. But we have sound. They're coming out of the right places. I found all the wires. It goes off with the key. And I can get the dashboard done. And on the next video, we can get to work on the rust holes, sealing the floor, getting this car squared away in here so that we can start working on the rest of the body, because she's getting a little long in the tooth and I'm getting a little bored of the project, to be honest with you, if I'm not lying. So with that, I'll go ahead and end this one for today. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it very much. And I'll see you on the next one.